People on YouTube are freaking out because YouTube has changed their partnership entry requirements from 1,000 subs and 4,000 watch hours to 1,000 subs and 8,000 watch hours, coming this February. That is admittedly a pretty big jump. Now, I've had my YouTube channel for 4 years now. Currently, I make travel content, but it didn't always start out that way. I used to want to be like a life coach, which was a terrible idea, but I had this channel called Brave and Resilient Life. I made life coaching content. It was very stiff. My first video was called This Intention Changed My Life. It got 5 views. And it is now archived and you'll never, ever, ever, ever see it. Now, 50 videos later, I have over 5,000 subscribers, 1.3 million views. I've got a membership, I've got an email list, I've landed a couple of sponsorships. Like, I am doing all of the things that the YouTube gurus tell you to do. But I still suck at YouTube. And I believe this because I am a student of this platform. I love to follow Colin and Samir, and I watch all of April Alter's stuff, and I follow Busy Blooming and Katie Steckley? I'm sorry, Katie, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. But I watch all of these experts and I consume their content like crazy. And I know that there are still so many things that I am doing wrong. So I thought it could be fun to rip apart my own channel as an example for all of those small creators who are freaking out that they're never gonna get 8,000 watch hours. And hopefully this will show you that even if you're not doing things perfectly, you can still get monetized. But maybe monetization doesn't actually matter. We'll get to that by the end of this video. So let's start with the number one thing that you're supposed to do that I'm not doing, which is start with the research and the packaging. There is this adage of if they don't click, they don't watch, which is accurate on YouTube. If you don't have a thumbnail that people want to click on, if you don't have a title that creates interest, people aren't going to click on it. And it doesn't matter if you made a great video if nobody watches it. Like, you failed YouTube 101. Now, this is something I struggle with on the thumbnail front, because I'm like, should I make it clickbaity? Should I just make it consistent so that people always know it's me? Should I make it something totally unique that stands out amongst the crowd? I keep trying all of the things, and sometimes the things work, and most of the times the things don't work. My thumbnails are wildly all over the place. The ones that have the best click-through rate are the ones that are things like, don't make this costly mistake, which is kind of this like curiosity, fear-based thing. Or what to pack and what can get you arrested, which is actually a really solid title. Or they're for like a very specific audience, right? Like what to wear as a Western female in Egypt. Very specific audience, very specific problem. So I would love to know, I'm very curious, like what makes you click on a thumbnail? And what am I doing wrong on my thumbnails? I don't, go roast my thumbnails in the comments. Maybe, you know, I'll learn something. And if you're a thumbnail designer, I might want to hire you. So drop your info, please. Thing number 2 you're supposed to do that I don't always do is encourage a call to action. You're supposed to do a CTA in every video. You're supposed to tell people to subscribe or like or leave a comment. I used to be really good about this. I would put this little slide up in the beginning that's like, you know, if you're new here, like please subscribe, like this video, blah, blah, blah. I've gotten pretty bad about putting those in lately. So I'm gonna start doing that again, because it actually does make a difference. When you ask people, they do it. But you kind of have to remind them, and you need to remind them early in the video because chances are they're not hanging on till the end. And with that being said, please like and subscribe. Thing number 3 is be really frickin' specific. I think everybody who starts on YouTube for the first time just like throws spaghetti at a wall and tries to figure out what sticks. And I have thrown a lot of spaghetti because for all that is holy, I did not want to pick a niche. And this is like the biggest advice creators will give you is pick a niche. And I was like, no, I can't be put in a box. Boxes work. Boxes work on YouTube. You got to tell the algorithm what you're making so that it can take it to the people who want to watch that thing. My first thought when I was on YouTube is that I wanted to be a life coach, which was a terrible idea. But I had this big idea that I wanted to like show women how to create a life they love. And in the beginning, I had this very specific, very stiff academic content that like was terrible. And then I started doing a little bit of travel advice, and that was kind of doing better. And then I came up with this idea of like, well, what if I help women to create a life they love through travel and through helping them get over the obstacles that might be keeping them stuck from taking those trips and those adventures. And so when I've kept to that specificity, The videos do pretty well. Like packing videos do really well for me. The specific like what to wear to Egypt does really well. The long haul flight survival is my most popular video, my most viewed videos. So like very specific things. But only half of my published videos, and I've done about 50, only half of those are travel. Because every now and again, I want to talk about something that I just want to talk about and that I think my audience would also find interest in. But usually those videos don't do very well. It's like my 100 diehard fans watch them, including my mom, and that's about it. It doesn't reach new viewers, it doesn't get me new subscribers, but every now and again it does reach somebody who really needed to see it, and somebody will like leave me a comment telling me as such. And like that's always really soul-filling for me, but it's not winning the YouTube game. So I consider those to be like the indulgent videos. Those are like the caviar. It's expensive, it's not for everybody, but like if you get it, if you have the taste for it, you're gonna like it. I don't know if that metaphor worked, but I'm gonna go with it. And it leads me to my next point, which is make the videos outward focused. And I struggle with this one because a lot of the content that I'm making is based on my own life experience, right? So I'm taking lessons that I have learned in my travels and I'm trying to share them with you. But there's like a way to do that and tell the story that is outward focused on the audience, and it's something that I feel like I need to get better at and that I'm working towards. And along those lines, just make more interesting videos. So I believe that summer slump is a thing. I've experienced this on YouTube where my views take a real dive in the summertime. This happened last year, and I remember at the time I thought, okay, next year I am going to bank a bunch of videos and I'm going to publish every other week. I'm going to give myself a little bit of a break in the summertime. And then I went and I banked a bunch of videos, and I did not release them every other week. I released them one after the other, and I burned through like 7 videos in 7 weeks, and they've been terrible. Like they've like had 100 views and that's it, which is sucks. That's bad for me. I kind of stopped publishing there for a month because I was just out of ideas. I was burnt out. I wasn't home. I was traveling a lot. I didn't want to cram another video together if people just weren't going to watch it. So I like stopped publishing. And I was on the phone with my mom one day and she goes, "Hey, how come you haven't published any new YouTube videos?" And I said, "Oh, well, summer slump." And mom, and she said, yeah, you said that last year. And I said, "Well, you know, people just haven't been watching my videos." And she goes, "Well, why don't you just make more interesting videos?" And that hurt, but she wasn't wrong. I think the most amazing thing about being a YouTube creator is that you get to iterate. If you're making movies in Hollywood, right? Like there's so much pre-testing that's done, and like they storyboard it to death and they put all this money behind it. They have all these expectations, and it's like a lot of work into this one thing. And if that one thing flops, it's like a career killer. On YouTube, we flop every week. Like, and you just got to learn how to like, you know, figure out what didn't work and fix it for the next one. But this is a practice I need to get better at because I'll go through these stints where I just batch a bunch of content and then you get 8 weeks of the same crap and nobody watches it. So, you know, I've learned that. I just need to implement it. I think a lot of that comes down to editing. I have a really simple editing style because I do this myself. I have tried to work with editors before, and I've realized that working with an editor is a serious skill set that you have to develop. And I just haven't had like the time or the finances to be able to put into hiring an editor and developing that relationship with them. And when I've tried working with an editor, you know, I didn't get the ROI out of it that I was hoping for. Like my videos didn't do a whole bunch better because of the editor. And it didn't take that much time off my plate for the result that I got. But I also know that at some point I'm gonna need a creative partner. Like it's gonna get too much for me. The rest of my business is starting to grow and take a lot of my time. So at some point I'm gonna need a creative partner on YouTube. If you're an editor and you're looking to partner with, you know, somebody, hi, again, throw your information below because I'm shopping. YouTube started out as a solo creator platform, but it has really become a team sport. As you start to grow, you have to start getting help. The 6th thing I gotta get better at is repetition. Repetition, repetition, repetition. How many times has your favorite YouTube coach taught you what a CPM is or an RPM, or what camera gear they like to use, or how to think about telling a story? or how much money they've made on YouTube. A lot. They make those videos a lot over and over again. And somehow we keep coming back and absorbing the same exact lessons they've taught us before that they've just repackaged. Repetition is something I really struggle with embracing. I feel like I gotta come up with something totally new every single week, and that's really hard to do. I have this whole series I created about how to travel more with a full-time job. It's called The Ultimate Guide to More Travel. I made like a whole long form video series about it. I made 30 short videos. I made a free downloadable guide. I published this all once and I have never talked about it again. And there's like some really good stuff in there. I'm telling you, like it's super, super valuable. So, like the smart thing for me to do is to retell that story. And that's like a month worth of content that I could mine out of something I've already made and just tell it better. Again, make better videos. It's a hard lesson I gotta learn, but like I'm gonna have to learn it because coming up with fresh stuff every single week is hard, and it sucks when you have a good one and it doesn't hit, you know, and then you feel like you didn't do your job and like you have this important thing to share with people, but you didn't share it well. And like you have a responsibility to yourself, to your audience, to like share it properly and to make sure that they see it. You want to download that guide? It's in the description below. I'm just selling myself like crazy here. Okay, what's my next lesson? Oh, lesson number 7. Stick with one thing and evolve in your lane. This kind of goes back to the niche comment that I had earlier, but I'm on my 3rd channel name. I started out as Brave and Resilient Life, and then with the life coaching, and then I went to Annie Toth Living because I thought I was gonna do travel and lifestyle stuff. And now it's just Average Girl Does Cool Things, which is kind of an umbrella for a lot. And mostly travel content now, right? But within that travel lane, I have branched into offering in-person adventures. I offer travel advising. So like I make money off of actually doing things outside of YouTube. And like YouTube is my credibility channel and YouTube is a lead generator, but like the money doesn't really come from AdSense. The money comes from the things I do outside of YouTube. And I think a lot about if I had just embraced this travel niche to begin with, I'd probably be a lot farther along. So if you really want to grow on YouTube, pick one thing and hammer it. Corner that market, grow your audience, like become a known brand in that thing, right? I love something that Tess says at Busy Blooming. She talks about how like Nike is a brand and like Nike is known for sportswear and Nike's not going out and like selling you life coaching. So think of yourself like a brand that has a message to share. And that leads me to lesson number 8, which is if you really want to make money on YouTube, show other people how to make money. This is a little tongue in cheek, but people have become very caught up with like how to make money on YouTube. Okay, and a lot of times when they're talking about that, they're talking about ad revenues, hence all the upsetness with the new YouTube thresholds that you gotta hit in order to get monetized. People online are saying they're punishing creators. They're making it hard for small creators. I actually kind of disagree with that. I think YouTube is pushing people to make content that other people want to watch. They're making creators focus on what the audience wants to see. So in that vein, finance and business and tech are the 2 highest paid niches on YouTube. Highest paid meaning like they have the highest CPM, which is how much money they charge advertisers, and then you get the cut of that in your revenue per share. And of course, finance and business and tech are like the most highest paid niches because everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants the latest gear, like it's aspirational, right? I also think there's a lot of pandering happening in these categories. And it really just illustrates this like dichotomy of YouTube, where like, do you wanna make videos that you love because you love making videos, or do you want to make money? A lot of people want to start a YouTube channel because they have a passion about something and they want to share that passion and they want to teach other people. And they're hoping that by doing that, they're going to make some money. Or they're established creators on short form platforms and they think that they can then take that short form stuff and just make the jump into YouTube. It doesn't work that way. YouTube is its own game that you have to understand if you are going to be successful on this platform. Successful meaning you hit that monetization threshold. But the thing is that AdSense money that we're talking about, that revenue share that everybody's so concerned about getting into the partner program to get their share of, it ain't that much money. The most I have made in 1 month of monetization was like $400, okay? It's nice, but it's not paying my bills. It's not even paying for like a new camera. Considering how much time I put into making every single video, like if I were to do the math on how much I'm getting paid like per hour per video, it's not worth it, man. I make more money dog sitting dogs in my apartment than I do making AdSense on YouTube. The way to make money on YouTube is pretty clear. Like you find that high paying niche and you figure out how to sell people videos in that niche. You make videos showing people how to make money. Like that's a huge thing people click on, even though the information is the same in every freaking video you watch. You just figure out a way to repackage it. You make an interesting packaging, you make interesting thumbnails, you make interesting titles that people are gonna click on. You make the production look slick, you keep them watching for, 20 minutes. You keep the editing snappy, and, then you make some AdSense money. People will click on those videos in droves because everybody wants to get rich. The great conundrum here is that content you actually want to make? And this is really at the heart of what I struggle with. Because I know when I make a video that only gets 100 views, I didn't win the YouTube game. That video might be amazing. It might solve world hunger, but I didn't do something right in the packaging, in the research, in the title, or the concept. It didn't pass the algorithm gates. And that makes me a bad YouTuber. Not a bad person, not a bad video maker, not a bad traveler, just like a bad YouTuber. But at the end of the day, I like making videos. I have since I was in high school AV club, and I begged my mom to buy me a Sony Handycam. So I might be a bad YouTuber, but I'm still going to be a YouTuber. I'm still gonna show up and make videos. And I'm gonna keep pressing publish and putting them out there because that is my contribution to the community. I'm still out here playing the game. And I was doing that for 2 years before YouTube ever gave me a dime. Anyway, this is obviously a caviar video, but if you made it here, I wanna leave you, and more importantly me, with this one thing. Mr. Beast, pretty much the most successful YouTuber of all time, said this thing in an interview that has always stuck with me.
All you need to do is make 100 videos and improve something every time. Do that. And then on your 101st video, we'll start talking, maybe you can get some views, but your first 100 are gonna suck. There are very freak cases like Liza Koshy or Emma Chamberlain who have really good personalities, and it doesn't take them as many videos. And it's just people who are 7'5" and making it in the NBA. Yes, there are freak cases you can find, but for the average person like us, who don't have these exceptional personalities and, backgrounds in filmmaking, just make 100 videos, improve something each time, and then talk to me on your 101st video.
This is my 51st video, so I am halfway there. And this is the commitment I'm gonna make to you and to me. I am gonna hang on for 100 videos. And then we will see at the end of that 100 videos if I can call myself good at YouTube. Thanks for indulging me on this one. Until next time, go create a life you love. Bye.